favorite questions. I love Ash Wednesday because I love asking this question. What are you giving up for Lent? Don't all volunteer at once. What are you giving up for Lent?
Candy.
Candy. All right, thank you. Candy. Anyone else? I can start calling people by name. You don't want that. Anyone? Someone earlier said, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm giving up complaining for Lent.
Complaining. Oh, that's fantastic. That's the best I've heard yet. That's fantastic. You see, so often when we come to this season of Lent, it seems to be that we approach the idea of just simply giving something up, right? So this is what I'm giving up. I gave up my snooze button. Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm giving up snacking. My doctor's happy about that. And there are certain other things that I'm giving up that are very personal and spiritual and the sort. But I've heard people say things to me like, well, I'm going to give up my coffee, or I'm going to give up Instagram, or I even overheard someone say today that they're not giving up anything for Lent because they went for 6 weeks being sober because of rush, and God understands that's enough. I think maybe the Lord will take what he can get. But is that really the point? Is that really the point of what this is about? Let me give you an example. I'm assuming some of us here are either football or baseball fans. Baseball right now, the guys are out there down in Florida in spring training, getting ready for, or maybe a little early, but soon they'll be in spring training, getting ready for the season. And then in a couple of months from now, football, they're going to be in the middle of summer, they're going to be in their training process to get ready for the year. You see, when you enter a period of training, it's an incredibly deliberate and disciplined approach to growing stronger, to growing better, faster, more agile, more endurance. That's the idea of athletic training. And it makes perfect sense that before the sports season would begin, you would set a period of time aside so as to endeavor to grow. You see, this season of Lent is not just about the way that it used to be when you were a child. Give up chocolate or give up this, and somehow when it's all over, when Easter rolls around, you get to binge on your favorite food, and you get to complain again, and then you suddenly can go back to the way things were. That's not the point. The point is that we take this moment and set it aside for a moment of discipline, for 40 days of effort that we might grow. And at the end, when Easter rolls around, we can look back and say, I'm a different person. It may just be in a small way. It may not be in some grand, significant way. It may not even be a way that anyone other than you know about. But the idea is to take this moment of Lent and to grow. And it's not just about giving something up. What I would propose at this moment in our life, maybe you can do something. How often do we hear in rhetoric or slogans or jargon or inspirational buttons? Does it say 100%, 110%, 100 whatever percent? We are constantly bombarded with the idea of giving 100% or more. Well, this is what I want to propose to you. Could you think about 1%? 1%. 1% of your day. That comes out to 14 minutes and 24 seconds. How often do you lose yourself scrolling through social media or falling down some rabbit hole on YouTube, or whatever tends to take up your mind, or getting lost in a meaningful conversation. How easy is it to spend far more than 14 minutes and 24 seconds getting lost in some activity, mindless or meaningful? How easy is it to find 14 minutes and 24 seconds, and yet that is only 1% of your day? So what I would ask of you is, can you, let's set aside 100%, that's far too ambitious, let's try for 1. Can you, in this moment, set aside 1% of your day? Can you, rather than trying to rack your brain and creativity and come up with something to give up, can you add something? Can you add 1% of your day in prayer? Can you take 1% and find silence, reflect, and open your heart just a little bit more to the Lord? As you leave church, we have these cards in the back. You're welcome to take them. It outlines exactly what I'm proposing to you, the idea of giving 1% of your day. And on the back, it has scripture verses that, if you'd like to pray with, are incredible ways to get into, and it takes you through every day of Lent. An incredible way to get you into that 1% of your day. Something to read, something with which to reflect, some way where you don't have to figure out how to pray. This is going to give you that introduction. And if you don't have a Bible, I've got about 100 of them in my office. You can have 1 or 5. You're welcome to them. They're free. You see, I want you to think of this Lent not just in the way that you've always thought of it before, of finding something to give up or something novel or interesting that you can do. I want you to think about dedicating yourself in a new way to growing closer to Jesus. And whenever we gather in this space, especially on Ash Wednesday, Scripture always challenges us to do exactly this. But here's the way Scripture talks about it. It challenges us to turn away from sin. Now, anytime you mention sin in a context like this, it brings up images of grumpy old people passing off rules and trying to control your life, telling you what you should do or what you shouldn't do. That's not what Scripture means when it talks about sin. What the Bible means when it talks about sin are those things in our lives that distract us from that better relationship with God, a better relationship with others, and that relationship with our most authentic self. That's what sin is. Yeah, I guess there's sort of rules, but that's not what I'm going to focus on tonight. What I want to challenge you to is that deepest sense of who you know you are, the sense that you want to be, the most lofty, noble, idealistic goals that you have for yourself. Maybe they're so incredible, you've been too afraid even to tell anyone about it. You've been afraid even to admit what it is that you would hope to be for yourself. The most authentic, the most noble person that you could be, the person that you know you ought to try to be, but the distractions and the temptations of life so often and so easily get in the way. And let's face it, there's just not a lot of people around here who are encouraging you to be holy, but maybe encouraging you to do the opposite. And so in this season of Lent, I want to ask you, I want to invite you, I want to challenge you, not to some sort of renewed version of old-fashioned Catholic guilt. I can't stand that nonsense. But I want to ask you to authentically pray about, what are those things in my life that get in the way of my relationship with God, my relationship with others, good relationship with others? And what gets in the way of my being my most authentic self, the best version of who I know I ought to try to be? And here's the promise that I make to you. Anytime we step into this uncomfortable spot where we're honest with ourselves, where we know God is calling us to grow, where we know we probably should, really should turn away from some stuff, that's a very difficult place. It's a very uncomfortable place to step into. And here's the problem. All too often, people who do what I do, or people who call themselves religious, they'll try to beat other people up. They'll shame them and try to use shame and guilt as a motivational tool and try to make people feel terrible about themselves in the hopes that somehow they'll become better. I promise you this. I won't do that. If you're wrestling with something, and you feel in some way called in a deeper sense to take this season of Lent and draw closer to the Lord, whatever is on your heart, whatever burden is weighing you down, whatever private darkness you know, if you want to somehow deal with that, that's why I'm here. And I promise you, you will never receive from me guilt or shame, only love. I will never give off condescension, judgmentalism, or being just a preachy heel. I will only ever welcome everyone and anyone. And it's not just me, it's the rest of the people who work for our ministry. Everyone who is here to serve you. I want you to know that this can be that season of Lent that's different from every others. This can be the season of Lent where the first time you make a choice that your faith can, for the first time, be your own. That you don't have to just go about the stuffy old Catholic Church the way that you were raised, the church of rules and obligations and guilt and shame. But for the first time, if you want it, I can introduce you to Jesus. I can help you to meet him. And I promise, if you want to step into that uncomfortable spot, if you want to try and let this season be about that holiness, about that growth, if you want that, I got it. I can give it to you. And if you but take the smallest step, I promise you, Jesus will change your life. That's what Lent is about. It's not about being comfortable or an easy time. It's not about giving up candy, though it is about giving up complaining. And if you want to grow this Lent, this is the place to start. If you want to go further on your program, it's my cell phone number. Don't text me at 2 a.m. But me and the rest of the people on that list, we're here for you. So whatever ways you want to grow this Lent, that's why we're here. I don't say it often enough, and I don't get the opportunity to say it. I know I'm talking for a long time. It's late at night. I'm old, and I got to go to bed. Here's the thing. It sounds weird. You are loved. I do love you. I may not know you, but I wish you could feel how it is that I love you and how it is that I pray for you. I have lists of your names. I've read your name on a piece of paper somewhere, and I promise it, whether or not you know it, I've been praying for you since the moment you got on campus. So if you want to reach out, if you want this Lent to be a little different, to step closer to the Lord, that's why we're here. That's why I'm here, and that's why we're here.